All right, everybody. We're going to switch it from the Junior Hockey Report to the Hockey Report, brought to you by the Mad Greek Eatery. Are you craving the famous Greek ribs everybody's talking about? Is good, is good. Get yours today at the Mad Greek Eatery. Dine in, pick up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com in the Band City. Okay, Mike Rich. Why am I laughing already? I don't even know what you're going to say. Mike Richards joins us. The inimitable. Man, you look fantastic, by the way. The Leafs are looking for a GM, Mike Richards. Go.
Well, that is an interesting scenario, isn't it? Not one that I saw people was like, shocking events as they have changed. I'm going, that's shocking? Okay, I don't want to wreck it, but the Titanic, not coming back. The culture and the massive job that Keith Pelley has in front of him. I don't envy him this one. And you have to know, I know Keith Pelley very, very well. He is somebody that if there's a great job out there, he's probably going to get it because he knows how to sell himself and he knows how to get stuff done. This is a completely different. This isn't fixing the CFL. This isn't trying to make a TSN CFL look better. This isn't hockey scheduling. This is the Toronto Maple Leafs that have had a decade now of futility. This is a organization that has zero culture. It's zero culture. It has an ability to tease its fans to make it look like it could be good. And Rod, you're a Cowboys fan, so it's a very similar feel. Like, okay, we got this players, we got that player. This all should work, right? Like this should be a championship or a playoff team. And then you head right to the rye. At least I do. Because then you see the fact that they are absent of so many things. And again, the Austin Matthews incident with Gudis was just, to me, I just couldn't take it after that. I mean, no one comes to his rescue. And so, yeah, I guess we're going to make a big deal of Max Domi, hijacking Gudis. Like, to me, it's just, okay, first of all, 2.5 weeks too late. So it kind of really doesn't count. And I just look at this lack of understanding that exists currently with the Leafs. It's all got to go. So and Brad Treliving isn't I know a lot of the pitchforks are out for Brad, but the problem of and the existence of a general manager is the evaluation of talent at that time, and then the organization is kind of going all in on you. It's a little bit of a gambling. They're saying, if we put these players together, this will equal a championship. Well, of course it didn't, and the players didn't. So now they're all crying, saying, boy, we feel sick about this. We feel just terrible because it's our fault. Yeah, because it is. And it cost him his job. On the other hand, those individuals on the ice, I don't think have melded to form a culture. I think when you change coaches, it's borderline disastrous. I think that this is a team that you're going to see a lot more mowing of the lawn. What do you want to, the all hands on deck. It's going to be, and here's the other thing too. This isn't an overnight fix. This is something that, quite frankly, is going to be a lot harder than what we've even seen in Calgary, Rod, where you've seen some of the veteran players go out, which they had to find dance partners, and Connie did that. And so you see a lot of young guys. I mean, they've signed so many young guys, a lot of college guys, and they got draft picks. So if you're a Calgary Flames fan, you're like, okay, I see where we're going here. If you're a Leaf fan, at this very moment, I mean, what the hell are you seeing? Like, what's in front of you? Because I don't know. I honestly, Rod, don't know. Like, if you bring in a Doug Armstrong, which, first of all, he's under contract, you'd have to talk to the Blues. Chris Pronger's name gets put out there, but that feels, again, that's a gamble. Like, could it work? Well, maybe, but we've also seen former players come in that had a bigger grit factor. Well, for Shanahan, how he played his whole career, it is so ironic, Rod, that none of the players and the entire team didn't reflect his style of play or his mentality as a player at all. And usually you usually are a product of the guys who bring you in, of the guys you're influenced by, and the Leafs didn't look anything. And he did not step in at any point to say, okay, we have to grind our way out of this thing. It never happened, and that's why at this point, if you're a Leaf fan, as I said, depending on where your bar is, hopefully it's open late because you're going to need it.
Well, and I want to say this because we're going to move on from the Leafs, but to the Toronto Leaf fans and the Toronto people, they all think we hate them. I don't. Nobody
No,
that
I
I
don't.
know does. I mean, I feel bad for them because it would be nice if they won. And you're right with the Cowboy thing. It's the same. And we have a football guy on every Friday, Mike Davis. He's the GM and head coach of the Vegas Nighthawks indoor team. Worked in the CFL for years. And I said, well, who's got the team with the most pressure in the NFL? He's like, Dallas. Didn't even think about it. And I'm
Yeah,
like, well, the
yeah,
same would be for Toronto in the NHL. So it's like everybody wants to be there, yet do you? Because it's not as much fun. Now, can I flip this for a sec? Because
yeah.
we're airing in Nevada. We covered the Toronto thing as we air on Game Plus. Silver State Sports, we're airing there. Let's talk about some Vegas sports. John Tortorella, everybody wants to know where this is going. Nobody knows. That's the fun
No, but
part.
no.
Yeah, what
You,
do you
you
think?
you can't know simply because of the volatility. Now, is it the right thing to do? Vegas does not make a lot of mistakes. As a franchise, their level of understanding of what it takes to win a championship or be championship caliber might be some of the one of the best in the entire league from the very second that they came into the NHL. They just decided that this is where excellence is. And even when things seemingly with a lot of franchises are going pretty good, I would say just pretty good, uh-uh, not in Vegas. They just do not have the time for it. And I really respect the hell out of the organization. Could he be the thing? Look, it's one of those things, and I remember having a great conversation years ago with Scotty Bowman. Scott Bowman came into my show, my stupid ass crazy circus show, and he was supposed to stay for 10 minutes. And I thought he might stay for 5. And go, what kind of a dog and pony show am I on? He stayed for an hour. It was the coolest hour. I'd never heard him talk that way beforehand, but he started to talk about players that he called bombers. So this was his word, not mine. And so those are the guys, they were the agitators. If I'm going to use another word, that's what it was. And he said, you all need one. It is whether you have Avery or you go down the list of all those kinds of guys that you love to hate. But he said, you all need one. At the same time, I look at the coaching aspect of it, and there's also a little bit of a fine line that you have to walk. Like what is on the rails, what is off the rails, and how do you keep that balance? So if you look at old school coaches like Ken Hitchcock, Hitch had a burn factor. He look, I love my time talking to Ken Hitchcock. You'll never find a more open and interesting guy than Hitch. As he said though, unless you talk to someone that played for him, and they will have no nice things to say. but it's that whole what is the burn factor and what is that time frame that you can keep that balance where the message works. To me, that's the whole thing in Vegas. Like, is it a shorter time frame with the team that they have? Therefore, maybe the burn factor, like if you can keep it down to this sort of level, does it work? And it potentially absolutely could work. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a terrible hiring and because of the way he is, it won't work. It's all about the fit of the puzzle at the right time. And getting back to the Cowboys, I always felt that one of the biggest problems they always had came from the sideline. Not that, I mean, look, you got to deal with Jerry, so that's going to take precedent over everything. But beyond that, football players not only um, uh, want discipline from the sideline, they need it. It's a necessity. So if you're telling me a coach that's known as being quote unquote harder, or the old phrase, he's a hardo, as a player, and so I never have a problem with a good professional who's hard because the level of excellence is always there. But the length of time, Rod, I mean, that's what we're going to figure out with Vegas. How long does it take? And does the message then start to burn at a certain point? Well, if you're all in, right? If you're all in, I kind of like his chances a little bit. I think it's going to be a very interesting hire.
Oh, I think it's going to work out. And it's going to be fun to watch, too. There is a book, by the way, called The Dark Side of the Game. Everybody should read it. It's by former Cincinnati Bengal D lineman Tim Green, where he talks about why some teams always win and some teams always lose. Just go read it, and everything that Mike's talking about will make sense to you. I don't know if you've ever read it, Mike, but it
No, I
explains
haven't.
it. Well, The Dark Side of the Game. It's worth, just for that chapter, you should read it. But listen, you mentioned the Cowboys. I'm there. I don't know what's going on inside, but I know what I see. And I'll say this. We should talk about the media for a sec, because you're a guy that I could ring up a phone bill with talking about this. But we're on TV right now, so let's talk about it. DeMarcus Lawrence leaves Dallas a year ago at this time. He goes, I'll never win there. I'll never win a Super Bowl. goes to Seattle, wins a Super Bowl the first year. So I was talking to a buddy of mine. Yeah, Kenny Nagunst, 806 Sports in Amarillo, Texas. I said, how come nobody's picked up on this? Why has nobody mentioned that DeMarcus Lawrence? He goes, they're all afraid of Jerry. Nobody will say it.
Look, it's Jerry's world out. I mean, again, we don't really have anything remotely similar here in Canada, even in terms of ownership,
No.
because a lot of it is corporate. Obviously, big corporations own it. But when you're talking about Jerry Jones, you're talking about the oldest of the old boys club, and you're also talking about an old oil and gas guy. I mean, this is landman stuff. I think it's why he showed up in the show.
That's right.
When you look at that Cowboys documentary, which I found to be really fascinating, like it was really interesting. You are not going to beat getting out of his shadow in that state. It's just not going to happen. And if you try, well, good luck with that, man, because it ain't going to work out for you, y'all. You just cannot get out of Jerry's, the football mahal that he built. That was just a statement of look at me. Look at what I've created. He is one of which is why Gillette and a lot of the older guys, again, that old boys network in the NFL, you just ain't going to beat it. So if you want to mess with that, fine, but just get ready to either get out of the business you're in or not even enter it, because you're going nowhere. Yeah.
I'm sitting here living in Miami, as you know, and every Dolphins news conference, Troy Aikman's in the front row with a Dolphins lapel pin on. And I don't know whether to puke or cry. Why was Aikman with the Dolphins? He should be with the Cowboys, but everybody knows why he's not. Because he would take over, they would win, and he would get the credit. I don't even need to go down that road. It's sick. Do you have a take on the Linus Allmark situation as the Senators are coming through here tonight to take on the Panthers, and he didn't play Saturday, and the coach said because he needed the rest? That's as ugly as the Leafs.
Asking me about the Ottawa Senators is sort of like asking me about a WNBA team. I don't know.
Not following it?
No. They're happy in Toronto because they have the tempo, I believe they're calling it. And I see Yasai Majuri,
he's an owner.
A wonderful, an amazing human being, like he really is. But I don't buy into, the WNBA. The only trade I ever heard of that I really knew in the WNBA was when Brittany Griner came from Russia out of prison, and they sent like a arms dealer back. That's the only WNBA trade I ever heard of.
That was a real trade too, by the way. Oh my God. Well,
no, March Madness is huge for me. March Madness is huge for me, right? I mean, it's now, in my pool, in all fairness, I took Arizona. And people are like, well, why did you take Arizona over Duke, over Michigan, it's because of the NIL. It has changed the world in greatly in college football, to the point where you're really going to see it's basically, when it comes to the Power Five, the power conferences, it's like the AFC, NFC. And everyone else in between gets completely lost, which is why the bowl season has been destroyed, completely ruined. It was my favorite time of year, and now it's spring football. It's spring football, unless you're in the college football playoffs. Now with NIL, which again, I'm not against players being paid. I never was. But now you're asking the NCAA to police it a little bit. They'll do a terrible job because they don't understand athletics. They just don't. It's run by academics, so they don't get it. And so you have teams that are really good at it, like Arizona has been. And then you have teams that spend millions of dollars on, like BYU having Dibansa and then Richie Saunders, and then that's it. Florida did a really good job, just didn't have the right. They weren't as strong, obviously, as they were last year. Alabama played no defense. When you looked at it, Michigan obviously has done a really good job, and of course that's the game coming up that will be really the championship game as far as I'm concerned, where you've got Arizona and Michigan, but the
Whoops. That was Mike froze, eh? Not me. Producer Corey, are you there? Hit refresh, Mike. The guy gets on a roll, and I just sit back and listen, and I enjoy it. Producer Corey, you still there? I know you are. If Mike Richards can just... Mike, if you can hear me, hit refresh. You caught me. This reminds me back when I was refereeing hockey games and why I didn't last as a referee. I would sit back and watch the games. They start yelling at me. Oh, I'm supposed to make a call there. I was just sitting back enjoying listening to Mike talk about March Madness, and all of a sudden, boom, he freezes. Could have been a worse look on his face than that. Well, I guess I'll tell you people. I would have liked to have told Mike that I used AI to fill out my bracket, and I got Michigan winning. I still got a chance to win the whole thing, and I used AI, as the viewers were saying earlier. Maybe AI should run the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's a joke in there somewhere. Oh, my God. Thank you, producer Corey. He just tells me that Mike Richards had a power surge. I tried to get to this. I tried to get to this with Scruffy last hour. But with Scruffy, it feels right now like last week, but it was last hour. But Scruffy's like Herschel Walker. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. But I feel like just with technical stuff with this show, which has nothing to do with Skycron, Scruffy's internet goes down 20 minutes before the show today. Mike Richards has a power surge, blows up the whole interview. Mark Hebscher yesterday has to go to his attic where the insulation is, where the Wi-Fi. It's like God just. Yeah, you know what it is? Producer Corey just telling me that there he's back. I canceled my Rogers cell phone today. After 12 years of not using it, I canceled my Rogers cell phone today, and the Rogers gods are getting me. You're back, Mike. Okay, yes. So where you left us is the Michigan game is the final as far as you're concerned in the Final Four.
Yeah, it was 2 minutes. Duke. I've never seen a team. All Caden Boozer had to do was basically fall on the ball and just roll on the ground. The game would have been over, but he panicked like a high school kid, and that's what you get with the one and dones. Quite honestly, that's what happens with these programs, and I feel bad for him because he's going to see that in his mind for the rest of his life. Like that's not one you're getting over. I remember talking to Ron Lancaster years and years and years ago because we brought up the Tony Gabriel catch in the end zone in Exhibition Stadium. And
1976.
Well, and you know who got beat on that play? And he said,
Tony Campana.
He was such a good player. And he said, but when the moment that happened, it's Saskatchewan football. You're going to be reminded about that when you go to Tim Hortons and get donuts. They're going to go, hey, aren't you? It's just a tough thing in sports to have something like that happen. But I think Arizona wins the whole thing. And I see in the state of Florida, by the way, our Canadian kid from Montreal, who is the world's tallest man, Olivier Rioux, who was getting like zero time with but he's in the transfer portal, so he will not be with Florida this year. He wasn't going to get any court time, so it's too bad. My guess is Arkansas. It's just a guess, but I think he goes to. Yeah, I think he was to Calipari. Well, yeah.
I used AI to fill out my bracket, and I got Michigan winning. Not Tony Montana, Tony Campana. Okay, Mike, this has been great. Bye. Great job. He gone. We'll be right back on the Silver State Sports Network and Game Plus TV.